Welcome to another edition of Quoth the Raven. Louis Broadraven. I'm your host, Louis Broadraven, 30-year veteran writer, illustrator, editor, and publisher of comic science fiction, fantasy, horror, and role-playing games. And it is Saturday, uh, April 23rd, 2022. It is our weekend movie or TV discussion. Tonight's topic is the 1977 feature film Wizards by animation guru Ralph Bakshi. Wizards, 1976-77. Technically, it was released in, I believe, December of 19. It says release date February 9th, 1977, but the actual copyright on the film itself says 76. So it's a little bit iffy. I think it actually came out in December of 76, but I think the release date of February 9th is the national release. Anyway, writer, producer, director Ralph Bakshi, starring Bob Holt, Jesse Wells, Richard Romanus, David Proval, Steve Gravers, Mark Hamill, yes, Luke Skywalker was in this, and Susan Tyrrell. Production company Bakshi Productions, distributed by 20th Century Fox. Again, the national release date was February 9th, 1977, with a running time of 80 minutes. It is a post-apocalyptic science fiction fantasy. What it's about: Earth has been devastated by a nuclear war, and it has taken 2 million years for the radioactive clouds to once again allow sunlight to reach the surface. Only a handful of humans have survived the apocalypse, while the rest have been changed into mutants who roam the radioactive wastelands. Eventually, humanity's true ancestors, the fairies, elves, and dwarves, have resurfaced and lived in the idyllic land of Montagar in peace, and have done so for 3 millennia. While her people have celebrated 3,000 years of peace, their ruler, Delia, queen of the fairies, falls into a trance and leaves the party of the celebration. Puzzled, the fairies follow her to her home and discover that she has given birth to twin wizards. These wizards are the kind-hearted Avatar, who spends most of his boyhood entertaining his ailing mother with beautiful visions, and his mutated brother, Black Wolf, who is pure evil and never visits his mother, but spends his time torturing small animals and doing other creepy things. When Black Wolf learns of his mother's death, he attempts to usurp her leadership of Montagar, but he's defeated in a duel against a grief-stricken Avatar. Black Wolf left Montagar with a vow to return and make this a planet where mutants rule. Another 3,000 years have passed, and Black Wolf has risen to lead the dark land of Scorch, where he and his vast army of orcs, goblins, trolls, wraiths, demons, dragons, and mutants salvage and restore ancient technology. He tries to attack Montagar twice, but is foiled both times when his mutant warriors become bored or otherwise distracted in the middle of the battle. Black Wolf then discovers an old projector, a movie projector, and reels of Nazi propaganda footage from World War II. He uses his magic to enhance this for psychological warfare, inspiring his own soldiers, while horrifying enemy troops into submission with shock and awe. Meanwhile, in Montagar, Avatar has become a tutor tasked with training the president's daughter, Eleanor, to become a full-fledged fairy. She's half human. Suddenly, the president is assassinated by Necron 99, the robot that you see on the cover here of the film, who's a robot sent by Black Wolf to kill all believers in magic. Avatar confronts the robot and battles it using brain reading. Necron 99 loses the desire for war, and Avatar changes his name to Peace in the hopes that he will bring peace. Avatar learns from the robot that the Dream Machine, the movie projector, is Black Wolf's secret weapon, inspiring his armies with images of ancient warfare. Avatar, Eleanor, Peace, and the elf berserker Weehawk set out to destroy the projector and save the world from another Holocaust. As they go into the forest, which is inhabited by fairies, Peace has an intuition that something is amiss shortly before the group is accosted by the leader of the fairies, Sean. Weehawk realizes that Peace is missing And when an unseen assassin kills Sean and kidnaps Eleanor, um, all hell breaks loose. Avatar and Weehawk begin to search for Eleanor in the Forbidden Fairy Sanctuary, but Weehawk falls into a chasm and insists that Avatar leave him behind and find the girl. He is stuck in the chasm, and he fights a spider-esque type monster, and Necron 99, or Peace, comes to his rescue and saves him, and then Weehawk has to save Peace, because Peace is wounded or a little bit out of it himself and almost falls even further down the chasm to his doom, but Weehawk saves it. Meanwhile, Avatar locates Eleanor, who has been captured by fairies and small human-like creatures just as she is about to be killed. Avatar attempts to explain that they did not kill Sean, but the fairies do not believe him, and they shoot him with an arrow. Wounded in the shoulder, Avatar refuses to fight back, which impresses the fairy king. Instead of executing him, the group, he merely teleports Avatar and Eleanor to a snowy mountaintop. There, Avatar and Eleanor resume their journey despite the poor conditions, and they soon realize that they are wandering in circles and are probably going to die in the cold. Fortunately, Peace, along with Weehawk, who have escaped from the chasm after they rescue each other, more or less, find Avatar and Eleanor, and the foursome continue on their quest. Together, they find their way out of the mountains. Soon, Avatar and the others encounter the encamped army of an elf general who's preparing to attack Scorch the following day, but Black Wolf launches a sneak attack that night. Eleanor is outside with Peace when she accidentally disturbs his internal conflict with one of Black Wolf's demons, which Avatar quickly dispatches when it attempts to hurt Eleanor. But when one of Black Wolf's battle tanks arrives to destroy the camp, Eleanor kills Peace by throwing her sword through the robot, and then manages to disable the crew before she climbs into a tank and drives it off with Avatar and Weehawk watching in stunned confusion. The next day, Avatar and Weehawk enter Scorch by ship and make for Black Wolf's castle, while the general leads his elf warriors in a bloody battle to distract Black Wolf's forces. As the pair get to the castle, they split up, Weehawk tracking Eleanor, while Avatar goes to fight Black Wolf. Weehawk nearly kills Eleanor, but she explains that Black Wolf had been controlling her mind ever since she touched Peace, and had basically just invaded her mind. And so, luckily, he stays his hand, doesn't kill her. In the meantime, Black Wolf's wife, the Dark Queen, takes her infant son and flees. Meanwhile, Dark Wolf, or Black Wolf rather, declares his magic superior to Avatar's and demands his surrender. Avatar admits that he has not practiced for some time, magic regularly for some time, and offers to show Black Wolf one last trick that her mother never showed them when Black Wolf wasn't around. Or pardon me, their mother never showed him because Black Wolf was not around. Avatar then pulls a Luger pistol from his upper sleeve and fatally shoots Black Wolf through the heart, and then a second shot to end Black Wolf's life, as though the first shot didn't do it. But anyway, with the loss of Black Wolf and the projector destroyed, Black Wolf's armies fall apart, and the mutants give up fighting again, and the elves defeat them. With Mondegar's safety secured, Weehawk returns home as a new ruler, as Eleanor bequeaths the kingdom to him, and Avatar and Eleanor decide to start their own kingdom elsewhere. What do I think of this? Well, this film had a lot of potential to it, and the thing is, Ralph Bakshi is not a particularly good writer. He's okay at adapting other people's stories, like when he adapted Robert Crumb's Fritz the Cat, or even Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, which came out after Wizards the following year. But this is his own story, and while I think he has some neat ideas, there's a lot missing from the story, and it feels like it's an almost half-finished film. Whether that had to do with what could be done with the animation at the time, or whether there was enough budget, or what the problem was, I really can't say. The budget on this film was $2 million. I think they gave him only 1.2, and he had to pony up the rest himself after he went to 20th Century Fox to get more money, and put himself in debt. Fortunately, the film did box office $9 million, so they made their money back on it and then some. But it's not like a full type of animation film expense that they would go to with Disney or some of the others that would have done. The film does do a great job of metaphorically representing the threat of Nazism and fascism through Black Wolf and his mutant army. I appreciate the irony that Bakshi is representing, as the deviant mutants are now representational of what Hitler and the Nazi Party put forth themselves as being the pure race, the Aryan race back in World War II. So it's a nice flip there. He does an excellent job in using World War II German Reich films as the backdrop for the projector and stuff like that. But I do wish he had done a better job with expressing the shock and awe effect that the propaganda war film Dream Machine has on the elves and other peaceful inhabitants. I just didn't feel like that was very well expressed in the film. Now, I had seen this film before, but it had been a long time, and I'd forgotten that Eleanor had turned on the group while enthralled by Black Wolf. I am not sure what Bakshi really had in mind, but I do wonder if in capturing her, he had meant to impregnate her, as he did Dark Queen of Scorch, as their son was a mutant. And earlier in the film, he was like going to kill the mutant son because it wasn't a human. And of course, he can't have a human because he's messed up and he's got a dark mutant queen. It's not going to happen. But he could have possibly had at least a half-human child with Eleanor because she's half-human. So I don't know if that was something that was meant to be in the story that got cut out or what. It might have been interesting if that had been the idea. But it was not expressed in the film. Again, I would have liked to see how that might have played out if that was his intent, because it would have made for some additional interesting plot twists if it had. There were many other people involved in this. Most people think that Von Bode worked on this movie. He did not. And hey, I admit, I thought some of it was by Bode too. All of the characters apparently were designed by Mike Plug, who you might know more famously from his Marvel work at comics, such as Werewolf by Night, Ghost Rider, and Man-Thing. And most of the static backgrounds were composited by British fantasy artist Ian Miller, with many uncredited artists working on the live backgrounds, including Tony Bluth, Don Bluth's younger brother. Now, Bode obviously did have some influence on the character designs. Obviously, Necron 99 looks a little bit like Cobalt 60. Obviously, Avatar looks a little bit like Cheech Wizard, and maybe that was what they were going for, but it was not Vaughn doing it, it was Mike. Now, the film is an allegorical comment on the moral ambiguity of technology and the potentially destructive powers of propaganda, particularly as a warning to the rise of fascism. Now, keep in mind, when this was being done in the 70s, and if this was filmed and shot today, almost certainly the idiot American public would assume this to be considered SJW content of some sort. I'm almost certain. It's just too liberal for most, I would imagine. Ironically, however, this film was competing with Lucas's Star Wars. Both times, 20th Century blocked each of them, both Bakshi and Lucas, from getting additional funding for their films, and this drove each of them to work together in ways on each other's projects, which is how Mark Hamill became involved as voice actor. He played the character Sean, who gets killed. It's a very small role, but most people think he went into voice acting after Star Wars, but the reality is Wizards was his first was actually his second voice acting role, but his first major film role, and that was released 3 months before Star Wars. In turn for having Hamill come over and do voice acting, Bakshi actually did some design work, uncredited, for the original Star Wars. He helped with Ralph Bakshi and some of the others making some of the costumes and FX designs for the aliens. I do wish that Bakshi's script was better. And in some ways, I do believe that the film has not aged well over the last 25, 30 years, 35 years, I guess. 35 years. But I do think that the overall message of the rise of fascism in America and the world and how we have to fight it does still ring true to this very day. And I kind of wish that someone would almost remake it with Ralph, and make it with more of today's more advanced stuff for the animation. I don't know if they could do it as well. I just think it would be a little bit more dynamic if we had today's tech back then. And I would like to see a little bit more characterization on some of these characters. It is rated PG. It's a film. I would recommend it for definitely for the. I would say it was rated PG in the 70s. Today, it would probably be rated PG-13 because there are some there's some cussing and some of the sexual innuendo and stuff in there might be a little. They might make it a PG-13, but back in '77 it was a PG. My rating for this is a 3.5 out of 5, and I think, if probably one of my friends that normally watches the show with me, or hosts the show with me, like John Norris or somebody, I don't know if they would give it as high a score as I did. I'm being a little bit generous, probably, but if you like the type of art that you're seeing here on the screen, and you want to see something that's a little bit different in terms of animation, because it wasn't just traditional cell animation. There was a lot of rotoscoping, a lot of film overlay with the propaganda films with the animation overlaid on it. It had some very interesting techniques of filmmaking at the time. And that is pretty much it for tonight. Be back probably, I don't know exactly sure, probably Monday. I'm trying to find some references for something for an art project that I got to get done. But as soon as I start getting all my gear ready, I'll be back with the live draws. And Monday I will talk about books that I got this week afterwards, because there's a few trades that came in after regular comic book day. And we'll try and get caught up a little bit more on that. I don't know what we're going to do on Tuesday or Wednesday next week, because we got some stuff coming up. I'm waiting for some stuff to come in the mail. And if I get that stuff, then I'll discuss that. If not, then we'll do some other things. But that is all for tonight, folks, and I hope you have a great weekend. In the meantime, if you did like this film or this episode, or you think others might, I'd really appreciate it if you'd hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons to continue to get content from my channel. As always, I thank you for watching and for your support. And social media, you can find me on Facebook at Lewis.BrightRaven, at Twitter at LewisBrightRave2. You can find my artwork at deviantart.com/BrightRaven. You've been watching Quoth the Raven, Lewis Bright Raven, exclusively on YouTube. If you have questions, comments, suggestions for other topics for be discussed on the show, Quoth the Raven LBR72 at gmail.com is the email address to reach me at. And if I don't get back to you in a day or two about what I've seen from you, try lewisbrightraven@yahoo.com. We'll see you next time. Have a great weekend, folks.